Hi everybody, my name is Andrea, I'm a medium. Welcome back if you know me. Welcome here if you don't. My disclaimer is I don't claim anything here as being fact and that it is for entertainment purposes only. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my better self, my higher consciousness, to suggest for us who we're going to bring in for this recording, for this message. Andrea, I view, as you well know, all of your videos. Your James Dean is an admirer of you. Well, he likes what I do for the soldiers. I really enjoyed that story. Who's our next guest? Who do you suggest? I'm not getting it. Fatz Domino. Hey, is that who you said? I did. Fatz Domino. Wow. Now we're talking. These are people that, like James Dean. I don't think I've ever watched a movie. Fatz Domino played piano and blues, right? I certainly did. He's rubbing his belly. Okay, well, let's welcome Fatz Domino. Andrea, you know blues. Although you don't play blues. I played blues. I played blues from the time I was old enough to want to play them. I took to the horn, the trumpet, before I was taller than the trumpet itself. I played clarinet, the saxophone, organ, piano, guitar, even the banjo I played. I liked bass for the tone of it in the genre of blues. He's saying in the melding of the bass to the blues, to the sound. Low and heavy and full of heart. Full of the ability in which to carry the sorrow for full words to the ears of the listening without rendering them weak or sad. I teared a many an audience, Andrea. For my words were like my whiskey in their ability to intoxicate or cause the tears to fall. I was a moonlight wizard. I was a moonlight madman for the way I would work my job during the day, never finding myself lonely when I got home from work, do my guitar my blues, always waiting for me to sit down with them and make them happen, manifest them. I manifested blues, Andrea, day in and day out. Blues would provide me the stability that my life craved after so many trial runs with bad opportunities, short-ended deals. My wallet, for its its stuffing, it felt like there was a hole in it. For every offering of a paying for him had always fallen short. It was never what it was. They never paid me what they told me they'd pay me, Andrea. That's what I gathered. Fatz Domino was not in the. No, Fatz Domino. Say it again. My name is Fatz Domino. And back when it first became known, it came routinely for the shorting of my wallet. I was sought yet up till go ahead, Andrea. They burned me in deals for my records, for my music. Once they had it, they sheltered no more for the caring to follow out the rest of the words on the contract. They didn't care for me. I was not given second notice upon them once that contract was signed. And I gave them my music, Andrea. They gave me only regret of my doing so. For the many records, the many gifts I gave them of my music, and never to be told for my value by them actually paying me what that value was. It was a foolishness of an old man. I wasn't that old, but I felt it okay to be considered old for the genre I played. And I was okay being old prior to my becoming old. I wasted many albums for their bearing fruit for me. Long before I allowed it to happen. I'm sensing what? Say it again. Andrew, you have your knowing of what I'm meaning before I say it. But we'll just slow down a little bit, girl. Okay? So we'll take it easy. I'm sorry, Bats. I'm always in a hurry. He says, Andrea, the angelic process of your viewing for us these stories renders no flaws, no fouls coming this old man's way. Well, thank you. My smoke-filled bars mirrored the smoke in the contracts. Once, twice, and yet I yielded not for the stopping of it. So many records were sold with my name on them, for my name being on them. Would the industry, my contractees, my partners in contract, would they simply divide the riches a little more towards my favor for it being me to have brought the money in the first place? Would they do that? I gathered that they wouldn't. But I stayed in hope that they would realize the value of proper payment, proper realizing, or proper gratitude for the gifts that I my voice, my gifts were giving them. It sat in this old fool's mind many a nights, many songs, many albums, many nights with my fingers at the keyboards, on the ivories, Andrea. I would hit those ivories slowly, softly, working diligently to maintain some sound that used to generate from me naturally and flow through me easily. And I found it something I had to yearn for, dig for. I had to seek and force upon myself to reveal anything more that I had of natural blues in me in order to continue to create these albums for them. Do my bitterness, I was a raging old man in my calm serenity style viewing of me. This old heart ticked, and it talked, ticked and talked, ticked and talked until I found upon my ears my own self-talk. I was more entangled in my own understanding of my letting of the robbery of my wallet happen. You're damn right. I was guilty of only allowing it to keep going. And every time I surrendered for another deal, a little bit more of the blues that was in me slipped out, like the money slipped out of my wallet when they paid me. The hole in my wallet, Andrea, signifies also. It was well representative of what led to the hole in the center of me, my blues, the hole in my blues, his soul. For the many men having told me of my value, so many men having had the shaking of my hand to their words as is for a sealment of promises, of them not breaking their word. For the contracting would surely save any breach of a handshake, which was mentioned. Yet for the falling of both of them, why bother mentioning any kind of promise that has no intention of holding itself, for just the fact that it was a promise made and a handshake given a man to another. The falsifying, the lying. Andrea, the falsehoods beneath those fancy suits and dazzling smiles and the promises of money. He said they were worse than any cancer internally for me, for what it did inside my soul. My offering my soul to them, and he kind of puts his hand on the counter like in frustration, time and time again, was at the root of what had the teeth that was eating like a cancer in my soul. He was eating my blues. One masters the writing of the blues without having them. My blues came many albums and many ears upon them for their wonderment, for their enjoyment, and for the soothing of their own blues. Yet when written, I was not a sorrowful man. I was not blue. So when these, he's saying infestations, I'm seeing little mites. When these mites came, he said infestations, disappointments, falsehoods, false Robin Hoods, They robbed me all right. Right out from under my own hood. When they came, so did my blues. My real blues came. My real difficulty in understanding that the ways of a handshake is, or words, promises, my understanding of that having to be broken really took its toll on me. I had value in a man not breaching his handshake to me any more than I would breach mine to another. He's saying we were all just fine to leave our hands in our pockets. Nobody had to do that. Nobody had to take them out and make false promises, sealing it with a handshake. And it gave me the blues. It disturbed me internally for my reasoning of it, and my continuing of it in hopes to rationalize it or to bring back the value of keeping a promise. I wanted them. One time. Just keep one promise. Every time that handshake, I'm like, I told myself this will be the last handshake, because this one they will not break their word. They will remain loyal to their promises, sealed with that handshake. Those hands kept shaking and kept breaking. It gave me not only the damage within my heart for the understanding of my own doing, going against what I already knew, for the shaking the value back into a handshake. Only worse for my wear, in my sense of dignity or integrity within what inside myself I already knew was wrong, and yet I allowed for it. I became my biggest problem for the devaluing I allowed for my own self. My values, he says. The rules I always lived by. The ones where my heart could settle and be safe and blossom amazing things out of it. Like the blues that came out of me at one time. I grew bitter within my own heart, my own mind, and my feelings for the music I produced changed to somewhat a degree that reflected my self-loathing for allowing the chumping of me again and again and again. As I was to be a martyr, and I can see him sinking down under the water in hopes that one, still believing in the handshake, that somebody is going to honor it. I whistled wide and proud prior to my Fatz Domino succession, the time his going platinum or record, his going out there in records was what should have been a glorious experience, a glorious time for everyone to receive from my music, my creations. Yet without the faltering, at every turn, at every contract. It may have happened, but it didn't. My life held me captive. Did you say wife or life, honey? Okay, if you said life, you have to give me a word that starts with L. If you said wife, give me a word that starts with W. You saw Andrew my Wednesday. My wife held me ransom for a spell in between contracts. For her, he showed me like Muhammad or somebody. For her backing me, her supporting of me, her anger towards them was golden gloves. She wanted a match. And she held her title. Yet it was by holding me by the collar for their ill doings towards their handshakes, their word. I was her captor. They had to deal with her if she was going to release me. They had to pay the ransom, huh? She did. And she did require for my freeing, for them, records, ransom. Handsome ransom. Her velvet gloves. I sang of her in my later albums. He said, yeah, my later albums. The lady, the velvet touch, the gloves, was my wife. For the sturdy steel beneath them. In her quest for making them right. For making them hold up their what should be a moral obligation to keep your handshake. But she held them to it with her iron gloves. He said her iron fist inside the velvet gloves. She was a wizard. Go ahead. My wife granted for me the surrendering of my inability to do it. Was that good or bad? Andrew, it held for me the losses of my own grit. The breeches that I no longer wore. Like she put your balls in the purse? That's not what you mean though. It's not against her. Her fighting for the lawful rights of my contracts rendered me well. And herself well for it. I'll never love a woman so much as that one. But my stripping, my being stripped of even the illusion that I could handle or one day redeem myself. I was stripped of my own integrity as a man, and having cowered to these mites until I had been completely under the covers. He had just kind of shrunk. I missed my goal to me singing of my blues. I missed it when I allowed for the blues to enter me. That old soul in me, it never came back. Those whiskey rivers that would flow out of me, they dammed up, they dried up. I was a faring old man. Faring. I was legitimately fair throughout my entire life. When the unfairness upon me came in the gusts, like in a hard wind, like in a rude slap. He said, yes, it was a cold slap every time. It altered my sensitivity to belief in a handshake of a man. I would tell you that it broke this old man's heart. If not, it wasn't the heart within me that they broke. It was the heart within my integrity, my spine. It took the strength of his spine. He didn't stand up for what was right. I'm sorry. I failed standing up for what my entire backbone had been made of. Do the standing up of it from my parent, my family, those that raised me. My spine went out with the tide as my blues dried up. My music dried up. And the standing up for myself went out with the tide. Does he do Dark of the Bay? He does Blueberry Hill. I found my thrill. Is that you? You said it is. Sorry, wow. That came, that was a shock. Okay, we are at 30. That was good. He says, I've rendered you sweet enough to shake my hand. as in a job well done. He enjoyed the visit, the interview. I seldom see the soul sister of spirit still lit and spine still fit. You're cute. Thank you. That was good, guys. I enjoyed that. He's all, you like Robert Cray. I do like Robert Cray. Or did. He was a vestment? He was vacated vacant. He was vacated also of that substance, that our core values. Andrea. Okay, Fatz. I seldom spoke in regards to my wife for no one's viewing of her or knowing of her. And today this comes well faring. He's liking the way it's delivered, and it's what allowed him to bring her up. Well, thanks for trusting this zone. He's gone. That was cool, guys. Gosh darn it. I keep trying to make these 30 minutes and they're always 38 or 40. Sorry, guys. I don't know how I can fasten it up, though. Make my intros shorter. Anyways, thanks, guys. See you next time.